Okay, you're live now. Okay, give it.
Okay, welcome to the 23-24 career panel. This year we're going to do things a little different, so it is live streaming. So students who are in here, you will be asking questions for your peers who are back in their classes at the end of the presentations. So if you can be making notes on your packet that you walked in with, please be prepared. The panel is just going to go down the line first, and then we'll ask questions. All the questions will come at the end of the presentation. Okay? Any questions for me? Teachers, if your students have questions in class, the teacher can put the question in the live chat, and we'll be going back through those at the end of the presentation. All right, we are going to start at this end with our CHP officer.
Hello, Santana. How are you guys? Good. So, my name is Jared Griesaber. I work for the California Highway Patrol. I am the Public Information Officer out of the El Cajon CHP office out in East County. I've been with the California Highway Patrol since 2006. I'm an East County kid, so I had a bunch of buddies growing up who went to this school. I unfortunately wasn't able to go to Santana High School. I went to a small school called Venture Christian School. So, as far as the CHP, basically right now we're trying to hire 1,000 officers to get onto the Highway Patrol. I would say right now what you guys can do at your age is just keeping your nose clean. We do a lot of report writing and stuff, so make sure you're paying attention in your English classes, you're able to read and write, all the basic stuff. But one of the biggest disqualifiers for us is drug use, kids getting into stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, drinking at a young age, and we're having a difficult time with new hires not passing our written test. So those are some things that you guys can concentrate on right now. As far as if you apply with the Highway Patrol, right now our starting salary for the CHP is $117,000 as a first-year officer. Prior to becoming an officer, you go to our CHP Academy, which is in Sacramento. It's a 27-week live-in academy. You actually get paid while you're at the academy, and they feed you, so it's a good time to save your money while you're there because you don't have any expenses. They're feeding you and housing you, and you're collecting a paycheck, and you're also collecting overtime because you're there more than your 8-hour workday. Okay. So once you get that first year on your job, your first 5 years, you're going to get an automatic pay bump, 5% each year, to where you'll be a top step officer. After 5 years, so you're roughly making about $145,000 your base salary, and then there's opportunities to promote. If you want to promote to sergeant or so on, then you get more pay. And then at an officer's position, there's plenty of overtime, so you could actually be making as much overtime as what your base salary is. So officers are making $200,000 to $300,000 with overtime at this point because we're so short-handed. I've been on the Highway Patrol since 2006, if I didn't already mention that. I've been the Public Information Officer since January. So prior to that, I worked patrol. I have not promoted to a sergeant position. A unique thing about our department is, as an officer, you could actually make more than your superiors just because of the overtime opportunities. Once you start promoting, you don't have the opportunity to work overtime. So another great thing about our agency is when you retire, you get a pension. The pension I am on is I can retire at 50, and I will receive 90% of my base salary. So whatever my highest salary year is, that's not including overtime, that's just your base salary. You get 90% of that basically the rest of your life, okay? Another unique thing about the CHP as opposed to other police departments is you get full medical. So as far as once you retire, you get medical benefits as well, okay? You get your health benefits. If you do attend college, if you have a bachelor's degree, you make 5% more also. If you just have an AA, you get 2.5% more. As far as hours worked with the highway patrol, obviously there's got to be CHP officers working 24/7. Different offices have different times that they work. Some offices are on 12-hour shifts, some are on 10s. I work normal like banker hours. I come in at 8 in the morning and I get off at 5 in the afternoon. There's shifts for our office. Our office starts at 5 in the morning. There's shifts that start at 1 in the afternoon, and then we have our graveyard shifts that starts at 9 at night, okay? So if you're looking at getting into a law enforcement career, I would recommend at your age right now just paying attention in school. You don't necessarily have to have a criminal justice background. We're looking for well-rounded individuals, so don't think that you have to do criminal justice to become a police officer. Just basically keep your nose clean at this point so that you have a good background and all that stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. My name is Christine Fitzgerald. I'm an attorney. I work at a law firm in downtown San Diego. Our business practice is primarily business litigation. I do some employment law and represent creditors in connection with bankruptcy proceedings. Being a lawyer, you go through the 4 years to get your undergrad degree. I have a bachelor's in science and chemical engineering, and then I did law school at Loyola Law School. I am not local to San Diego. I'm one of the many transplants that lives out here and enjoys the lovely weather. With respect to law school and things that I think you can take away from what you're learning now in high school, being organized, paying attention to detail, not being afraid to critically think and look at problems and look at situations you're facing, kind of take a step back and is there another approach to this? And a big portion of my job is people management, and that is managing people below me, that is managing people above me, and that is managing opposing counsel and my clients. And it's understanding that it might be a different approach to interacting with those people to get the result that's going to be most favorable to my client or a result that I'm looking for. With respect to what I've done, I have, as a lawyer, I graduated and I worked at a very small firm. Honestly, I came out not making a lot. I made $65,000 when I graduated law school, so everyone thinks all lawyers make a ton of money. That is not always the case. I make a lot more than that right now, thank goodness. I have clerked for a couple of federal judges. I have worked at a regional law firm that has offices up and down the West Coast here, and I've worked at a national law firm that had over 1,000 attorneys. I also worked at the Department of Justice with the U.S. Attorney's Office down here in the Southern District of California. And the law firm I'm at right now is a small law firm. It's a woman-owned law firm, and it's kind of a hybrid between working for the government, I found, and working at that big law firm, working the long hours. As most of you probably know, my hours, generally, you're expected to be available to answer questions for your client and do work during the banker's hours, if you will. But being a lawyer, you work until the job's done. You have deadlines you have to meet, and it's a lot of hard work. I find it really interesting, though. I think it's fun to get a new problem or find a new way to look at things and to approach that. And my personality is a little direct and a little confrontational, so I don't mind having that conversation with somebody where I think we disagree on an issue or a point and explaining why I think my position might be right. Let's see. With respect to the work hours, yeah, it's definitely not traditional, but the firm I'm at right now, for example, I went in at 10 and left at 6 yesterday. But I might have to do a little work on the weekend. I'm here now, so I'll probably work a little late when I get into the office this afternoon. And it just depends on how much work there is to do. Another big thing I feel like I wish I'd done differently kind of in high school is I was a huge procrastinator in high school. How many of you guys procrastinate? Yeah, it sucks. Don't do it. Try and find a way to get around that, because as a lawyer you get hit with all these projects and I've learned as a lawyer, especially in my profession, you never know what's coming down the pipe. And you might think, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow I get hit with an emergency motion or ex parte, or I need to deal with another fire that's happening. So if you can do something today that's going to help you tomorrow, do it. I promise you it'll pay off in dividends later. Let's see. Salary-wise, I obviously make more in private practice than I did working for the government. The government has amazing benefits similar to what the CHP officer here was talking about with respect to the pension, 401k matching, and I know a lot of that seems really far away, retirement, but if you're smart and you save money and you invest young now, that will pay off dividends again later. That kind of goes to my whole don't procrastinate to plan to retire, don't procrastinate to save and invest in your future. And I think I'm done.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
My name is Justin Kaluger. I work for a large welding equipment manufacturer. The company is global. We're based out of Cleveland, Ohio. But here in San Diego, I run a small office of mostly engineers, and we design and develop very interesting high technology automated welding equipment. And so that equipment goes out into a number of different fields, from oil and gas to construction, infrastructure projects, in process chem and other very high quality requirement for the welding industry. What's interesting about my career path is I did go to college to become an engineer. I have a mechanical engineering degree, a bachelor's. And initially when I graduated, or when I was getting close to graduating, I thought the career path for an engineer was to just become an engineer. And I was kind of opened up to a different path, and that is I started my job initially as a technical sales representative, or an outside salesperson for the same company that I'm with now. So that was about 16 years ago. And through that process, I kind of stepped up through the organization and became more specialized in a specific product line. And that kind of led me to the role that I'm in now. I've been a manager of the division now for about a year, but have been in this location with this group for 6 years now. So I spent 10 years selling the product and talking to our customers, and then moved into a little bit more of a specialized role. A nice part about going into a sales type field as an engineer, you're seen as the expert. So customers want information that you can provide to them. They want to rely on you to provide a good solution or a good answer to their problem. And also the travel. It's great. I get to go all over the world, especially to see different regions where projects are going on and where customers have different requirements. We're always a value selling type organization, meaning we don't sell on price. We have a very expensive product that fits a very niche market. And so when we are looking to sell that product, we need to be in front of the customer. We need to explain to them the value proposition that that product has, which has enabled me at least to be in front of the customer wherever they might be in the world. I've been to the Middle East, to Asia, still trying to get to South America, but I think that's coming pretty soon. Spent a lot of time in Europe over the last couple of years, so it's been a great career choice for me. I didn't initially think that I would get into this type of role, managing people and managing a team of engineers and operations. Really was never something that I thought about when I was in high school, especially, and even in college. You know, going through an engineering program, like I said, you think engineering path leads you to just engineering. One thing that I did throughout that sales career was take additional extra courses outside of what was required for my job. I took a few business classes, online things that were very inexpensive, just to kind of get exposure to the business side. I was trying to understand what my customers were thinking and what they were asking from us, but what it did is lead me into a management role within the company. You know, something that I think I could have done differently in high school. So, you know, I always focused on math and science because that's what I was good at. I understood it. I was able to excel in those subjects. I didn't really like English. I didn't like writing. I didn't like reading books. But what I've learned throughout the years is that you really got to focus on a broad range of different topics, and even though you may not like a topic or may not be good at that topic or course in school, pay attention, learn from it, and really understand you know, how to broaden your perspective and your understanding of different topics, because they may come back in the end. You know, you think you have a target where you want to go in life or where you want to go in your career, but things can change, and those skills, you can lean on those in the future. So that's good. All right, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing? Okay. All right. Hopefully, you guys can wake up while I'm talking. Okay. Morning, everyone. My name is KB Barcelona. I'm a facilities building manager for Apple. What that entails is I support a lot of the engineering groups here in San Diego, specifically on the R&D side. So a lot of the hardware, software. Whenever you guys have your phones have updates, I work with all those teams. I work with the Siri teams, all the chips, everything like that. A little bit about the background leading up to it. So prior to this position, I was actually Santana's facilities manager for 3.5 years. So really got blessed with the opportunity. I found this job through LinkedIn and then went through a whole interview process to thankfully be selected for it. I think one of the pressing questions is, what is the salary for somebody that works at Apple? I can give you a range. I won't tell you how much I make. But it goes, for the tiers, it depends on the tiers. You start off between $110,000 to $160,000. That doesn't include percentage bonuses of your base salary, and not to mention the added stocks for Apple as well. So that's all dependent on the role, the team that you're on, and then it potentially increase year by year. A little bit about the background of myself. I have 3 college degrees, so I have 2 masters. I have a master's of business administration, I have a master's of arts and management, and I have a bachelor's in public administration from San Diego State. To be very frank, you don't need all that to work for Apple. I had a very unique path where when I first graduated from SDSU, it came out of a recession, so I had to make a couple different avenues and choices to try to better myself, make myself more marketable. So here I am. I've been with Apple for almost 2 years now. It's going to be in January. I'll kind of go through here for the questions. Why did I choose this job? There's a lot of opportunity to grow. Always had a goal to work for a Fortune 500 company, and to be very real, the financial compensation is pretty good. How did school prepare me for my career? I'd say very focused on really teaching me how to work and collaborate in different ways of thinking. Kind of piggybacking off of the previous panelists, a lot of it is really just making the most of the opportunity, learning how other people think, how you react, how you respond. I think understanding how you overcome adversity. Looking back in high school, which I didn't realize now, is more of like how you actually respond to adversity. So you spend so much time studying for a test, you don't do well, you get cut from the sports team. You know, the girl you have a huge crush on doesn't like you. It really is contingent on how you respond to adversity and how you take those habits leading to all the decisions you make later down the line. Did I know I was going to be doing this job when you were in high school? Absolutely not. I got really lucky for it. I definitely worked my tail off to have the opportunity, but it definitely was not anything that I had expected. It's just more making the most of the opportunity that came about. What skills and talents do you need to do your job well? Outside of like fundamental job experience, strong critical thinking, there's very much an art of building working relationships, being very curious of having innovative ways to improve processes, a willingness to take a lot of ownership for the decisions you make, because it's very like high leverage, high intensity, a lot of money involved. And then also having the willingness to take accountability for yourself. You know, all key factors in people and peers and managers that I work with a lot. And really depending on how well and effective you do that will really be determined of how quickly you can move up within the company, because all those factors are really more of like how people want to work with you, how people want to manage you, how people want to report to you. What was the most important thing that I got out of high school that has helped me now? I'm going to just oversimplify it. Being kind matters. Like just straight up, being kind matters. It's such a simple thing, but how you are, how your interactions are on a day-to-day basis to your peers, to your teachers, to your parents, to your family, is really going to set you up for success. And I put that in a very like specific example is a lot of you may not talk to one another after 10, 15 years from now, but who knows, you might be going up for a job interview and the one person they were picking on, you know, maybe when you're in high school is on the interview panel. Like, how are they going to remember you? So take the most of the opportunity, be kind. It goes a long way. And if there's something I could have done differently in high school, what would have been? 2 things. More focus on mindset, very similar to Lord, making the most of your opportunity. And every day is not going to be a great day, so your best is going to be very different on day to day. But a genuine attempt to do your best each and every day builds really good habits, provides consistency. And the very last thing is to vocalize your appreciation and gratitude for a lot of people here in high school. So definitely say thank you to a lot of people. I guarantee you all saying thank you and you're expressing your appreciation goes a lot further than you guys realize. Thanks.
Good morning, my name's Elijah Elliott. I work for Hensel Phelps Construction. If you've seen any of the 3 yellow trucks we have driving around Santee with an HP on the side, that's the company I work for. When I first got out of high school, I chased a girl up to Washington, and then she brought me right back down here, broke up with me, so I joined the Marine Corps, which would have been the next logical step. And I did the Marine Corps for 5 years as a jet engine mechanic, and naturally when I got out, I decided I wanted to build buildings. So from there, I went to San Diego State, where I got it's a civil engineering degree, but it was in construction. Now they're split into 2 departments. They used to just be one. And then after that, I got my master's from Point Loma in leadership. While I was there at SDSU, I did a grip of internships to figure out what it was I wanted to do, and that's how I stumbled into HP. So I started interning there in 2014, and then I full-timed from 2016 to now. Now I'm an area superintendent, driving a truck around, building things. We build everything except for houses. So you've probably seen some of our projects and not realized it. How did school prepare me for my career? The main thing that school prepared me for my career is how to work with people, how to deal with people that I like, that I don't like, probably more importantly that I don't like, that I don't relate to, all those kind of things. Because unfortunately, no matter what job you get into, you're going to have to answer to somebody, you're going to have to deal with somebody, you're providing a service to somebody. So learning how to work with people, sharpen my soft skills, these things were all important, and I picked them up really starting in high school. Why did I choose this job? There's a long story to it, but I wanted to be impactful when I got out of the Marine Corps. I wanted to build something that somebody would use and it would change their day or change their life. That's what I do with HP. Right now I'm building the cancer center, so hopefully a lot of good comes out of there. I've been with the company, like I said, since 2014, full-time since 2016, so however many years that is. I've only been in this position as area super for a year. It's been on average about every 2 years I've jumped up to a different spot. The money question's not on here, but I know you guys are concerned with it. I want to say my taxes are going to say somewhere around 140 this year. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to it. I set all my bills to auto because I'm really bad with money, so if I'm in there managing it, I'm going to spend it all. So I have that, and I have a grip of benefits. The company comes with a bunch of stock. It comes with a bunch of retirement stuff. We don't do matching. We just do 15% of your salary on top of your salary. It goes into a retirement account. We have what's called an ESOP. You can go ahead and Google that, but it's a big deal. Did I know I was going to be doing this job when I was in high school? When I was in high school, I thought I was going to be a mechanic. So I fulfilled that dream and realized that that was a poor dream for me. So I stopped doing that when I got out of the Marine Corps and did something else. What skills and or talents do you need to do well at your job? There is, in leadership training and in the Marine Corps, there is the 14 leadership traits. It's something that I think should really trickle down to the high school level, maybe even before that. But you can go ahead and look them up. The acronym is JJ Did Ty Buckle. Every last one of those traits is a skill you need to be successful in my line of work, and I'd argue any of these guys' lines of work. So write down JJ Did Ty Buckle and go ahead and Google that thing. What was the most important thing you got out of high school that has helped you now? Like I said, working with people was some of the most important things that I got out of high school. There was a lot of planning that I think was good, but that kind of leads into what I would have done differently in high school, is I probably would have chilled out a bit. I was really forward thinking and planning like every moment of what I was going to do. I was going to go to this trade school, and I was going to buy this house and this year and have this wife and this kid. And, your life's fixing to come at you, okay? So put the plans in place, that's fine, chase them all out. But like this that you're in, it's not very long. So look around and be amped on what it is you're doing now and make the most of what you're doing now. Once the plans are set and every day you're taking those steps to move forward, then it's gonna happen. Whatever you need, it's gonna happen down the line. But this is a one-time gig. That's all I got.
Nice, thank you. I'm gonna make this more exciting for the cameraman. Stand up, walk around. My name's Andrew Borcher. I have 2 students here, 2 kids, 2 boys, Dylan and Chase. I see you. My current position is a senior biologist, senior project manager. I work for a company called AECOM. You can also call me an environmental consultant. I went to UC Santa Barbara and I got my degree in zoology. What is an environmental consultant? Well, on the simplest level, in save endangered species. It can literally be going out and moving an endangered toad out of the way of a tractor during a construction project, which I did just a few weeks ago for an SDG&E project. But in reality, I work with utilities mostly, with the power company, gas, power, water, transportation, sometimes private development and other construction, large-scale construction projects. What we do, say for example, SDG&E built this big transmission project called Sunrise Power Link that goes from Poway out to the desert to link our power grid to the desert solar fields. I worked on that project for probably 5 or 6 years. We went out there and I surveyed for all the endangered plants, animals, wetlands that were along the way. I worked with the engineers and designers to help them avoid those impacts as much as possible. And then if the impacts could not be avoided, I helped them get the permits they needed through the Forest Service, which we were cutting through their land, and with the state and the federal government, with the Environmental Species Protections Acts and California Quality Control Act. But anyway, after that, if we couldn't find mitigation or offset the impacts on site, I worked with the power company to find mitigation properties, undeveloped land where those endangered species existed in another area that could be preserved in perpetuity. And then during construction, myself and other resources monitors went out there and monitored the construction activity to make sure there was no direct impacts during construction. So why did I choose this job? I didn't choose this job, actually. I mean, eventually I did, but during high school, I had never heard of this career, and even during college, I had not heard of this career. So it was the environmental industry was relatively a nascent industry when I was first coming up. Now they have college programs and career guidance that really directs you towards this career. It's a very big and booming industry. It's not only biology, there's all sorts of different resources that work on the projects that I work on. You got your cultural resources with archaeology and paleontology. You have water scientists, geologists, planners, project managers, engineers, GIS, mapping, everything. The company I work for is actually 57,000 employees internationally. Employs a ton of people, but it's a great career. I love it. When I graduated from college, I just worked in the labs for a couple years on campus, and then I knew I liked science and I wanted to make money, and so I heard about this career and it ended up being perfect for me, especially here in California in San Diego. Some of the skills and talents you need to do well at your job. Sure, a strong technical background is good, and you get that in college and some in high school. But like the previous speaker spoke, I think soft skills are really the most important thing. Communication, your social skills, your emotional intelligence, because in reality you're dealing with groups of people, a lot of different personalities in different fields. You're going to be leading projects, doing presentations like this, and working just with different groups. So I think soft skills are really the most important thing. And in that regard, some of the classes that I took in high school that I think helped with my career, one of them was drama. I think you learn to read people, you learn to talk in front of people. But also I took yearbook, which is another class that helped me with writing. There's a ton of writing in my profession. And then photography. I also worked that into my job. Some of you may have passions that may not end up being your careers, but you may find a way to work them into your jobs or just do them on the side and get your money somewhere else. If I could have done something differently in high school, I didn't take science or math my junior or senior year. So that did not prepare me well for getting into a science degree at a four-year university. So it took a little bit of catching up because you got to get through that general education classes before you can get to your fun upper division classes. So I had to do some catch up on science and math. But no matter what you do, what you think you're going to do now here in high school or in college, you may end up doing something completely different along the way. You may find a different path. But for me and the people I see around me, I think having a strong background in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering and math really sets you up to take a job or a position in any type of work you want to get into. Other than that, I think that's, money-wise, I do well. When I started, it was low, but I've been doing it for 20 years, and it's on par with all of these professions. I'm not sure about these guys, though. They look like they got a lot of money. This guy. Anyway, thank you.
Hello, my name is Evan Tando, and I'm a real estate mortgage broker. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I own my own company, and I help people buy, sell, and refinance residential real estate. My sole purpose is to help people secure housing and build generational wealth, and also to give back to my community. I do that both in monetary donations and volunteer hours. So just out of curiosity, how many of you know that you want to go to college after high school? I'm just curious. Oh wow, that's a lot. And how many of you know what you're going to major in? Wow, that is a good amount. I had no idea. Or I thought I had an idea, and it was nothing like this. I was going to probably do something in social work. That's what I went to school for. Is anyone interested in helping people? Social work, psychology, things like that. Cool. How many of you want a career where you make a lot of money? A lot of money. Okay. So what if you could have a job where you do both? Because that's what I have. I help people, and you can make a lot of money. So I make between $1 and $1.5 million a year. It's through gross commissions and income from investment properties. But it comes at a cost. So I work all the time. I've been doing this 20 years. I've never taken a vacation where I have a vacation like you see people probably on Instagram. So I might have pictures up, but I got up at 3 a.m. I worked for 4 hours before my family got up. I vacationed, we go out to dinner, I come home and I work. So there's a cost, but if your personality can compartmentalize stress, it can work for you. So even though it's a lot of hard work, for me, it doesn't feel too rough. Here's the other great thing about it. You don't have to have a college degree. They didn't have those when I was going to school for real estate. I was going to school in the 90s when hip hop was still good. And real estate was not an option. But you can get an awesome degree now. They have so many good ones. However, if you don't do that, you can get your real estate license as long as you're 18 years old and take 3 classes, and it costs about $400. The skills I think you need to do well are to be detail-oriented, organized, be a good listener. You want to listen to what your clients want. You need to be self-motivated. No one's going to tell you to get to work. No one's going to tell you to punch in. I happen to be someone who, even when I was young and I got into this, I got up at 6 a.m. I started studying the markets, reading articles, looking at properties, and I'm that way now, except I get up earlier. I get up no later than 5 a.m. I love to learn, so you want to be a learner. Things are always changing. Laws are changing. Contracts are changing. Lending is constantly changing. And you want to have good verbal communication skills and written skills. So I know a lot of kids text. A lot of kids are in my industry now, and they send offers, and they don't even call me as a listing agent. And that's just not a good way to build relationships in this business. So be sure you're still comfortable picking up the phone and talking to people face to face. The last thing I could say is that anyone can be successful in this industry. There's all walks of life, people that look different, sound different. There's plenty of business to go around, so if you want to do it, you'll be successful solely based on the effort that you put into it. If you ever have any questions about getting into it, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Broker Evan Tando.
Awesome, thank you. All right, hey everyone. I'll be wrapping this lovely panel up. It was so fun hearing about what everyone else does too. And then you kind of get into your role for a while. It's really nice to hear just all the different opportunities out there. But I will be sharing a little bit about my background. I work in healthcare. I'm a registered nurse, and I kind of like jokingly say I was like born into this role or really fell into it very intuitively. I come from a family of nurses, so I grew up with my grandma telling me about her stories of being one of like the first operating room nurses to work with like open heart surgeries like way back in the 1940s and 50s, and then my mom became a nurse, and she just shared these crazy stories about working in Center City, Philadelphia in the emergency room overnight, and just all the different scenarios that she got to see. And my older sister became a nurse, so I was really exposed to healthcare growing up, and I think I always kind of had a penchant to want to take care of people. And I made the decision, it was around like my junior or senior year in high school. I remember I had a crush on a boy, and he was talking about going to the United States Naval Academy. And I was just like, ooh, like, what's that? That sounds interesting. And while I didn't follow that path, through that relationship, I found a really cool program called the United States Navy Nurse Corps Scholarship. So I was able to get a scholarship to a nursing school, an undergraduate 4-year program, that when I graduated, I also was a registered nurse and an officer in the United States Navy. And that's what actually got me out to San Diego, which is really cool, especially since growing up on the East Coast, this sounded like a great place to work. And I learned a lot about the profession from being in it. Some of the great things about being a nurse is flexibility and lifestyle. So I work super non-traditional hours. A traditional full-time schedule for a nurse is going to be 3 12-hour shifts a week, which means those other 4 days you're off. And for a lot of nurses who start at the bedside, another kind of perk that I liked is that when you leave your job, you don't have to think about it until you're back up the next day. So there's really this nice balance between compartmentalizing. When you're at work, I'm taking care of patients. When I'm at home, I'm taking care of myself. So something about if lifestyle and having flexibility and having a good chunk of time off in between your shifts appeals to you, especially starting out, I would definitely recommend nursing and healthcare as an avenue to kind of consider for that. The other really great thing about the nursing profession is that it's super versatile. So if you're someone who really like thrives on adrenaline and being like really like action-packed type of like activities and lifestyle, the emergency room, you're going to love it. I particularly work in labor and delivery and postpartum, so I get to take care of families and moms kind of beginning that journey and their partners. If you're more into like the science and like tech side, there's nursing informatics that you can go into that's really like data driven. I also went back to school and got my master's in design-based thinking and business. So if you're into leadership and developing like products and managing others, there's healthcare roles and nursing roles for that. I also really love teaching, so in addition to working at a hospital right now, I teach for San Diego State University and University of San Diego, so I have to teach up-and-coming nursing students in the hospitals during their undergraduate program. So there is a lot you can do within the healthcare field and the nursing field, and as I mentioned, 12-hour shifts, so that's either 7 in the morning to 7 at night. If you're a night owl, that also means you can pick up night shift as well, so 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It's a 24-hour operation most of the time. You do have to work holidays and you do have to work weekends. I think that was one thing I wish I had maybe had a better heads up going into the profession, that there is a little bit of a give and take. As I mentioned, you get a lot of time off, but you also have to give back with some of your weekends and holidays being a little bit different than your family and friends and counterparts as well. So just kind of taking that into consideration. And in terms of salary, it's really going to depend on where you work. So I've worked in California and Oregon and Pennsylvania as a nurse, and my salary has fluctuated based on those different locations. California tends to be really great and pays a little bit more than some other areas of the country, so just kind of look into that based on where you want to end up professionally. And the other thing about nursing is that it's a pretty high demand job. So the couple times that I moved out of San Diego and have come back, finding work has very fortunately been low on my priority list because I've always had opportunities available for me. So if job security is something that's important to you, the nursing field is definitely one to consider. And just to wrap up, one thing just to focus on, I think that is helpful, is this while you're still in school, is kind of pay attention to what you're really passionate about and what you love and what makes you excited, and see what pathway that can bring you. Thank you, guys.
question on your way out, you're free to ask. But otherwise, that is the end of this, and there is no more time for questions. So, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for being on your best behavior. You can give one more round of applause to all of our